As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Seth, your host with the most. I sound like a frog trying to be Barry White today because my son gave me laryngitis. But this is episode 200. So I wanted to have my buddy on here, Melissa Garretson, to kind of flip the tables again. Wow, I sound awesome. Flip the tables again, and let's talk about what it's like to be a dad and a parent and be an entrepreneur. Because she threw back at me and she's like, well, why is it always about like how women do it? So, well, how do men do it? You know, and it's kind of true. Like we're all in it together, and it's kind of like insane how everyone's like, well, how women do it? Because women are like, supposedly the caretaker. But, you know, a lot of times there's men that are the caretakers too. And like, how do they balance everything? So we're going to flip the tables. We're going to see how this goes and stuff. So.
Well, I mean, Seth, what I think is fascinating about you, I mean, you know, I know you personally, so I know how you operate. And
At least you think so.
I really think the secret to your success is your amazing wife.
It's just no, Meredith is the force to be reckoned with in the family. Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I mean, I'm just curious because I know you have a lot going on. And I also know that your family is also a big part of your life, obviously, and you do take a lot of time to be with them. I think you're very conscious of that. It's not like it's not like, oh, you just like escape and then
No, I do escape a lot, actually. Don't give me too much credit here. I do escape to the basement constantly because my kid is an 11-year-old nutcase.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hear you there.
I know you have a 12-year-old nutcase, you know, that you run into your office to hide from.
You know, a delightful nutcase.
There's delightful times, and other times they're complete Tasmanian devils.
Well, you know, I think our pediatrician once said that strong-willed children become very successful adults. So he's like, this is exactly what you want.
If he survives childhood, he will be very successful.
Well, I'm rooting for him.
I am too. He's gonna be a lawyer. It's constant with him.
Yeah.
He's always like, I'm like, I'll give you 4 hours on such and such, and he's like, well, how about 4:30? I'm like, oh my god. Negotiate.
Yeah, I believe it. And so I do want to just pull back for a second because I know, like, I'm not sure how familiar all of your listeners are with everything that's on your plate. And I was trying to think about it. And I know you've got Entrepreneurs Enigma, which I'm sure is not like, you know, just a little cute couple-hour thing. It takes a significant amount of time. You've got your Marketing Junto. And then you've got Goldstein Media, right?
Yeah, I do a lot.
Okay, am I missing anything? What else is
no,
on
that's
that plate
enough.
of yours?
That's enough of stuff I have.
So how does it work for you? Like, do you get up in the morning and say like, okay, so from 8 to 10, I'm going to do
I don't
this
plan.
stuff. And then from 10, yeah?
I don't plan. I come down, I get done when I need to get done, and I go to sleep.
So how do you, like, what does that look like for you? What does your day look
like? Oh,
like?
it's a giant cluster. Oh, it is a giant mess. But like I'll sit down like Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll come down at 8 o'clock, get everything hooked up for the podcast to come out.
Yeah.
Literally, it's just me shrinking the URL and making sure everything connects. And then I'll get started on the rest of the workday with Goldstein Media. Because, I mean, that's the big chunk is Goldstein Media. I mean, Entrepreneurs Enigma is down to a science now. I mean, it's down to a science. So I don't really complain about, oh, it's so busy, because I can get done in like a half an hour.
Yeah. Do you think you spend more time on Entrepreneurs Enigma trying to like scheduling and getting more people on, or is it more of it the actual interview process?
One interview is usually only 15, 20 minutes. And then I edit it. It takes another 30 minutes to edit because I don't really edit it that much because, once again, we're not NPR here. I'm not Terry Gross. I'm not trying to get all the ums and ahs out, you know. And, you know, so I think it's a lot of scheduling, making sure people's schedules line up. There's always a lot of cancellations because people get sick or family things happen. And, you know, it's mostly the scheduling, I think, that takes a lot of time out. Entrepreneurs Enigma.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Support for this and all the other podcasts on the Marketing Podcast Network is provided by Momento. Upload a video and in just minutes, all the busy work of a production team or PR staff is ready for download. Segments edited, transcripts written, social media captions drafted. Literally minutes, not hours. With Momento, you can upload 30-minute videos and watch the AI recommend 10, 12, even 15 segments to pull out as clips. Use them in Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and even TikToks to promote the full video. The recommendations are fast and driven by AI. You can edit them to your liking, then output the finished promotional clip in just minutes. Go check it out. MPN listeners can try it for free at bit.ly/MomentoMPN. That's bit.ly/MomentoMPN.
Yeah. That makes sense. And how did you, so I think Goldstein Media was first, right?
Oh, Goldstein was well first. Yeah, it was 2008. Started that. I only started Entrepreneurs Enigma in 2001 during the pandemic. I mean, I've been podcasting since 2010, different podcasts.
Yeah.
But this is the most recent incarnation of my podcasting. And I started that as a solo project of me just pontificating. And I mean, no one wants to hear me about my pontificating, because who the heck am I? So I brought people on to tell their stories. So
what I think is really interesting, though, and you know, I was looking over the things that you did, and as a writer, I think this is kind of fascinating. I think there's different ways that you approach it. So, like, obviously, I feel like Marketing Junto is actually more of you. Like, it's here's my thought, here I'm going to pontificate and like tell you what I think about whatever is going on right now, and it's very Seth. Like it sounds like you. It's very like we're just having a cup of coffee and this is what it is.
And it's not proofread, which I'm sure kills you. You're like, you missed a comma there, darn it.
No, you're a very good writer. Hey, I've always said that I think the important thing in writing isn't necessarily like grammar and SEO. The most important thing is that you're writing something that is interesting and that will keep people reading. Everything else you can filter back in, you can make it work, but I think that nugget of interest is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But then when you go to Entrepreneurs Enigma, it's very like unsethified, like you take yourself kind of out of the equation and it's just about the person that you're interviewing. And then obviously Goldstein Media, it's just completely separate. Like you're not there. It's like a ghost project and it's all about your client,
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've worked on projects together. So, and they've been a hoot, and that's me being facetious. No, I've always enjoyed working with you. But our clients have never always been the best clients. So,
well, and like I've said to you, I think the best part. I know one of the questions you always ask is, "What's the best part of being an entrepreneur?" And I think it's definitely being able to pick your clients and knowing
it is. Sometimes they pick you.
Necessarily a good fit.
Sometimes they pick you, and those are usually the ones you fire eventually.
Yeah.
The ones that pick you are the ones that are like, all right, we got to get rid of these guys eventually. And we both know who we're talking about. So.
Well, but I mean, in general, like I went through a major pruning period of my clients last year where we just kind of took out a lot of people, and like sometimes it was people that I genuinely like as people, and I genuinely like what they do, but you're like, this isn't.
It's not what you want to do.
Flowing.
Yeah, it's not what you want to do. It's not.
Yeah, and I think like when we write for people, like we need to sort of become them, and there are some people that you're just not clicking with, like you're not
Yeah,
like sharing that energy with. It's just not working. So we just
yeah.
kind of say, let's not. Do
Let's
you
not.
do you
Let's take a
ever
break. Yeah.
do you ever find yourself doing that, or are you more like, we're gonna make it work, folks?
I mean, generally, ours are projects, so I'll generally
Yeah,
say, let's get through the project, and maybe we won't do any more with that person
that's
again.
true.
But like, I'll finish the project. I'll never stop the project and say, get lost.
Well, right, right, right.
Yeah. But it's always a trip. So
And
every
what, like, I
client's a trip.
remember, well, yeah, that's true. And I remember talking to Meredith about how she said that you've taken some people on that she's like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, there's been some hiccups. There's definitely been some hiccups, and ones where it's like, I should never have taken that one, but I was desperate, or I felt like I was desperate at the time. So,
Yeah.
and it's
It's hard to
never
say
good when
no,
you
though,
do
isn't it?
that. So,
It's hard to say no, I think. It's hard to
oh,
say,
absolutely.
like, when someone is like, here's money, do you want it? You're like,
Exactly. Give
we
me
can
my
make it
money.
work, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, we can figure that out. But how do you, like, do you have like a vetting process for people?
I usually just get a sense of them. If they're going to be a bunch of jackasses, like if they come
Yeah.
across kind of snobby on the phone, or like, we would expect this done in this amount of time, I know that's a flag. You can usually get a sense of who they are in the first call. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, they'll surprise you later on, but usually it's the discovery call you to discover, like, whoa, this guy's off base.
Yeah. And I think you do a really good job of like tailoring things to people specifically too. So you don't want
I try.
to.
I try. That's the key, is trying to do it.
Well, I did want to just kind of circling back here. I wanted to ask, I mentioned that it feels like you have these kind of three very different like approaches and personalities, and then you have,
I do.
your home life too. And like, how do you do that code switching? Like, is there like a segmentation that you work with, and you're like, okay, so now I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be Entrepreneur's Enigma. Now I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be whatever this client is right now.
Maybe subconsciously I do it, but I don't actively think about it that way. I just kind of say, all right, I'm doing this now. I
Yeah.
fully blame it on the ADHD.
Well, and that's interesting though, because when you stop work, do you say to yourself like, okay, I'm just totally focused on what's going on in my family right now, or is there like
Oh
a
God,
part
I'm
of your
all over
brain
the
that's
place
like,
constantly. I'm constantly
yeah,
like thinking about next things, for better or for worse. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur too, it's tough to detach.
yeah. And can I ask, like, how does that work with the family and the marriage? How does Meredith feel? I
Honestly,
really wanted to
sometimes
have
it's
her
best to
on and ask her.
exactly. Sometimes it's best to just let Seth go down to the basement and work, and let her deal with the kid. Other times I deal with the
Yeah,
kid, and she goes off and does something. It's a balancing act, really.
I can see that. Do you think it's better or worse being in your home office rather than being at the office where I met you?
Yeah, stacks. The good old stacks. That was
Hmm.
our old co-working space that where Alyssa and I met. Um, I don't know. I like the separation of having work at work, and I still came home and worked. I'm not going to deny that, but like, I like going to an office.
Yeah,
But the pandemic, and 3 years of a pandemic, you kind of lose that sense of like, oh, I need to go back to an office. You're like, this just
yeah,
works. And since the podcast takes up some time, it makes sense to just kind of do it when you're at home and you just stay home and work. Plus,
yeah.
you have a nice office. So, I mean, I'm in my unfinished basement. You can't tell, but I'm in the unfinished basement. So,
I do love my office, although I have a tendency of clients who make fun of me because anytime I'm in like a thorny project that I just can't kind of wrap my head around, I rearrange my office. Yeah. And they all know. They're all like, oh, you're facing a completely different direction now. So what project was it? And I'm like, yes, that one for you. But no,
that's
I do think
funny.
you need to like flip it around. And I do have to say, I think it's really funny how we actually met. Like we were in separate rooms at that space,
Yeah.
and I was getting emails from a client, and then they were saying, "Oh, Seth's going to give this to you, and he's going to work on it, and he's our website designer." And then I'm like, "I know Seth, who's like in the next room. Is that the same guy?"
Yeah, it turns out we were
we,
working with the same client, and we so
I
happened to
know.
be in the same area. Yeah.
I think we passed each other in the hall for like a week, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "Hang on, you're that guy I've been emailing."
Exactly. It's like what a serendipitous
I know, and I
situation.
do miss those like serendipitous encounters of, not like necessarily planned meetups, just kind of passing people and
Yeah.
sparking
That's one
ideas
thing
and
that
having
this whole
conversations.
going back to the office mentality is those serendipitous interactions, but
Hmm.
I don't miss the commute, even though my commute was 5 minutes. But I have to find parking. I have to walk in to stacks
Yeah.
and all that. And also the expense. I mean, it was like what, $400 a month for the office, which is cheap for most people. Are like, oh my god, that's so cheap. But we're talking about
Yeah,
Doylestown
but
here,
yeah.
so
Well, I always ended up spending more money than I made the days that I was there because I'd like, go out for lunch and then go
yeah.
shopping.
Oh, that
Like,
got
meet
you. Yeah,
someone afterward for a happy hour. And I'm like, this is actually not a very lucrative thing
lucrative
to do.
situation. Yeah,
But it was fun.
I
So
enjoyed it. I
what do you
enjoyed the
wish
four
was
years of
different?
it. What's that?
Yeah, and what do you wish was different now from
I
your
wish I was
life
able to get out of
now?
the house more often. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I go all day long, pick the kid up at school, give him dinner, cook dinner, give him dinner, and then Meredith comes home from work, and then it just
Hmm.
starts the next day up again. I mean, what's kind of funny is that Meredith works more in the evenings, like 12 to 7. So I do all the cooking, for better
Yeah.
or for worse. I'm not a good chef. I commonly forget the vegetable.
Mm.
I always forget the vegetable. Like I made chicken last night, forgot all sides. I just made the chicken, went back to work, came back, ate the chicken, realized I'm still hungry. Oh, and ate the zucchini. Oh well.
Well, I something tells me that your 11-year-old son didn't really mind not
No, he
having
doesn't
the
even eat the food I
vegetables.
give him. He eats a wonton soup or Chinese food or pizza. That's all he eats.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly going out to like the pizza shop to get him pizza.
Yeah, no, I've given up. It's a lot of takeout.
It is. Like
Really.
I'll cook for myself and Meredith, but we can't get him to eat any of our stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, like I have four people in my family. No matter what I make, three of them are going to be unhappy. So we've pretty much given up on that.
That's
Um,
hilarious. All three are unhappy every time you cook. That's not good.
pretty much, or else it's me and like two others. It's just one of those things. But
Yeah. Okay,
I
we
don't
should make
know.
a cookbook.
Yeah, it would have like takeout menus, Seth. It would be just
That's
a
fine. Yeah.
cookbook of local takeout menus. Yeah, I once saw this thing on Instagram that was this interior decorator did a backsplash and like had someone's like grandmother's recipe for something like written on the backsplash above their oven, and I'm like, that's gorgeous. But my family, it would have been like the number for Domino's pizza, which doesn't
Oh, by the way,
quite.
Domino's is spicy. Have you
It
noticed
doesn't
that?
have
They
the
get
same
spicy now.
real nostalgia. I
Yeah.
don't know. But yeah, that was my grandma's specialty. So I think, like I was saying to you before, I feel like I'm asked a lot, like how do you make it work? And I'm like, well, I just don't, and I'm the wrong person to ask that
Well, you
because
don't, but you don't, but you do, because by even not doing it, you're doing it. If you think very, very, very woo woo, but you do what's right for you. You do it right. One kid wants to eat this, the husband wants to eat that. You're all right, let's order in.
look, I mean, everything is clean, and I
Yeah,
mean, everyone is fed for the most part. If not, they know where the Pop Tarts are. And I mean, it all gets done. And
yeah,
I always wondered with somebody like you, like, it all gets done, right? You're like,
yeah.
you're making it work throughout the day, despite these like three things that you have going on and the million other things going on in your head.
Yeah. Oh God, no end to this stuff that's going on in my head. It's a
Well,
spider web.
what do you think? Now, I know you ask people all the time about what their favorite and least favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is, but I'm curious about Goldstein Media. What do you think your favorite thing about web design that you do so skillfully. What is the best and worst thing about that? I mean, I know, like for me, I can't, when you ask me to talk about this, like I feel like I don't have any right to talk about being an entrepreneur because my business started completely accidentally. I just,
Good
I was a
mind.
writer and I was good at it. And then all of a sudden more people wanted to hire me. And I'm like, gosh, I should really be an LLC. And, I mean, all of a
Yeah,
sudden
that's how mine
you have
happened.
employees and you have a business but I mean, like my my writing, I can talk about. And I'm curious, how did you get to web design? What's the best and worst thing about it? What's that story?
I was a journalist for 6 years. Left that, went into web design to get the job. Never got the job. I went into web design to get the experience to get the job that needed the
Yeah.
experience, and I just never went and got the job. It just started picking up. I mean, the worst thing is about being an entrepreneur is not knowing where the next paycheck's coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, this past year has been weird as crap. The busy months have been slow, and the slow months have been busy.
Yeah. I noticed that too.
It was very weird this year. Or last year, because this is coming out in the new year, but last year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I would agree though. Like usually for us, everything gets really busy during the holidays, whatever holiday it is. It's
Yeah,
like Thanksgiving or Christmas or July 4th, whatever it is. Everybody else is busy, so they
yeah.
don't want to do what we do. So they're like, "Here, no, you do this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But this year it's been the opposite. During kind of the times that are normally pretty fallow, we've been super busy.
It's been a very weird. Last year was a very weird year. I have to use the saying last year because we're almost there.
Yeah, I
We're
know.
recording this on the 28th of December, so
That's pretty wild too. 2024.
yeah, it's crazy, man.
But
It's
now, so
crazy.
so back to my question though. So, Goldstein Media, website design,
Yeah.
what gets you excited about it? Like, what do you think is the thing that it sets you apart from every other web designer and gets you like really excited to get to work in the morning about it?
It's being
You're like
creative.
the paycheck?
No, it's definitely not the paycheck. I can tell you that right now. But it's being creative and seeing something I built go online, and it's just kind of neat. I have a good team of people that work with me, and it's just been fun to kind of have a little cohort of people working with me.
hmm
Yeah,
So is it like the structure and the architecture of the websites, or is it more the graphic design
it's
and
more the woo woo, in my opinion. It's more like making their dreams come to fruition about what they want, how they want to design their image online, and I get to help them do
yeah.
that.
Aw. What about the worst thing?
The worst thing is the paycheck. It's the ups and downs, the lefts and rights of entrepreneurship. I mean, when they're down, they're down. Like, it's not like I have
Yeah.
a salary that I can always count on. It's the ultimate amount of commission if you think about it.
Yeah.
You
Which
eat
fuels
what you
the
kill.
which fuels the late hours. And
Yeah,
like I've thought about that. If you go back to a corporate job, if you say, you know what, no more business, I'm just going to get a job, you typically have more predictable hours. I mean, I'm guessing you don't work and stop, like you said, you don't stop at like 5 and say, "Are
no,
you
there's
back
no
in it in?"
predictable. There's nothing predictable about my business.
Yeah.
I try and stop at 5. Well, I have to stop to get the kid at 4, then
hmm
feed him, and then go back to work. This is the way it is.
What's your most productive time of day though?
I would say the morning, actually. He gets
Yeah.
off to school, and I get to work. By the end of the day, I'm shot.
Is there something that you need to do every day to get yourself going, or do you just wake up raring to
I just wake up
go?
and go. At this 16 years into it, I just kind of just it's kind of like driving a car. Just kind of
Yeah.
just go.
I have like the opposite. I mean, like I said, when you write, like you sort of need to like marinate in whatever, or at least I do. I need to sort of
Yeah.
marinate in whatever the project is. So I go for long walks every morning and I think about
There you go.
whatever I'm trying to work for. So I spend
Yeah.
like an hour going for like a long walk, drop the kids off at school, go for a walk, and I think about like if I were a security consultant reading this thing, and I'm like walking along and talking to myself, and I'm sure I look absolutely insane. But then I can come back and then I can be like, okay, now I know exactly what I'm going to write and all the questions that I'm going to
Brilliant.
ask, and it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
And then I have clients being like, how come you're never available at 8:30?
Because I'm
Like,
out. I'm out ruminating. Yeah.
yeah, it's helpful.
It is. It is. I like doing this. We should do a podcast together, I think.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, like I said to you, I don't know. I think I've said this to you many times. I think the hardest part for me about owning my own business is being the brand, being the face of the business, you know?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to hear about my business from other people. So every time I talk to people, it has to be like, let me tell you how great I am, you know? And that's like the most awkward. I feel like I get really anxious and I say things that I don't mean. And I'm like, I don't know what just happened. It's like,
It flies by, yeah.
I think as a writer, I'm more of a, I can give speeches, but like and I've written many speeches and I can write a whole blog, but the conversation, I'm always like, that wasn't your line. You weren't supposed to say that. You were supposed to ask me this. And then I would go forth. But yeah. So I would much rather have a discussion with you.
Oh, that's fun. I enjoyed this. I'm glad we did this. Best thing for episode 200. So much fun.
That's wild. Is this the most episodes you've had for a podcast?
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still going strong. And
well, I'm impressed by it.
I'm shocked by it.
I mean, I went through, you know, like as you do, I went through and listened to a bunch of
oh, geez, I feel bad
a bunch
for
of
you.
the episodes. No, I mean, but you know, you've got some very impressive folks. You've got some really fascinating guests there, and I think it's impressive. I don't know, it's cool.
Oh, thank you. This is so much fun. I couldn't think of anyone better to do that episode 200 with. So.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the yeah, it has been fun, and thanks for keeping it casual with me.
Oh, it's fun. It's always fun. It's like we're having pizza. In Doylestown, Jules. So.
Right? I love it.
Yep. So guess what? We'll see everyone next time.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.